Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how to draw box plots. Okay, what are box plots? Box plots are used to graphically display the 5-number summary. Okay, so they're a way of summarizing data when we use the 5-number summary to talk about the distribution. In practice, generally this will be for a skewed distribution because again, the 5-number summary, the quartiles are used when we have the median as our measure of center, okay, which we would use only if our distribution is skewed. Now for practice, some of our examples will not be skewed, but in our analysis, we will use this technique when our distributions are skewed. All right, so here's how they're drawn. So let's say I have a number line, and my minimum, my 5-number summary values are somewhere on the number line, let's say here, okay? So this is also sometimes called a box and whisker plot because it's made up of a box and two lines that are called whiskers. Okay, so here's what we do. First, from the first quartile to the third quartile, we're going to draw a box. Okay, so the ends of the box go at the first and third quartiles. Okay, we connect the box like so. And then we draw a extra vertical line at the second quartile. Okay. So this is the box part of our box plot. The whiskers are lines that we extend from the edge of the box out to the maximum on the right and the minimum on the left. Okay, so this is a box plot. If we have a graph, a dot plot, or a histogram, the box plot is often overlaid on top of it. Or sometimes you just see a box plot without the actual underlying distribution, okay? Because this summarizes the data very well, even without necessarily seeing all of the data. Okay, so let's do some examples. Let's go back to the previous example I found in my last video. So if you worked on this example, go ahead and take these notes out. So we found the 5-number summary for this distribution down here, 0, 80, 120, 160, and 240. So I'm going to go ahead and mark these on the number line. Right, so here is the minimum value at 0. The first quartile value is 80. Second quartile value is 120. Q3 is at 160, and 240 is the max. So why don't you try drawing it before I draw it? See if you got the idea. Okay, now that you're back, here's what we do. We're going to draw a box whose ends are at Q1 and Q3. We'll draw an extra vertical line at Q2. Hopefully you can see that. And then whiskers out to the smallest and highest values. Okay. Notice something here. Notice how the size of each portion of the box is roughly similar. This has a width of 40 here from Q1 to Q2 as well as from Q2 to Q3. And then here we have a distance of 80 as well as here. This is a hint from the box plot that our distribution is symmetric, right? Even if we didn't have the distribution here, sorry, that might have been, let me turn off this lamp, see if that's a little bit better. Even if you don't have the distribution here, from the box plot itself, sorry, it's making it hard to see. From the box plot itself, you get a sense of the distribution being skewed, okay? I mean, sorry, symmetric in this case. Sorry about that. Okay, let's go back to a previous example, okay? So if you have this example handy, this is the first example we did to find the 5-number summary, okay? I'm going to go ahead and draw this on a dot plot, and then let's find its 5-number summary. So let's draw its box plot. Okay, so here is the dot plot from that example. Okay. Again, from from this example here that we had before, we found that this was its 5-number summary: 15, 17, 25, 32, 42. And here's the dot plot. Okay. So let's mark these values. Okay, here's the minimum, here's the first quartile, here's the second quartile, and here's the maximum. Okay, I draw a box from the first, I'm sorry, I missed the third quartile. The third quartile is here at 32. So I draw a box from the first to the third quartile, an extra line here at the second quartile, and then whiskers out to the minimum and maximum value. Okay, so that's how I draw the box plot here. Okay, then let's do one more example. Again, going back to the example I had with the frequency table, which let me see, make sure I can find. Oops, apologies. So going back to this example here, where we found the 5-number summary of this distribution that was given by a frequency table. Here's the 5-number summary that we found. Okay. Here is the dot plot of this frequency table down here. Okay, so go ahead and draw it. Okay, if you haven't yet. The 5-number summary we found is the following: 10, 20, 25, 40, 70. Okay. So again, let's mark these parts on the graph. Here's the minimum. Here's Q1. Q2 is here between 20 and 30. Here's Q3. And here's the maximum. Okay, so let's draw a box from Q1 to Q3 with an extra line here at Q2 and whiskers out to the minimum and maximum values. I'm sorry, I didn't draw that very well, a little sloppy. Okay, like so. Notice the skewed right shape of the distribution is reflected in the box plot. This portion of the box, notice, is really small compared to the rest. Okay, what does that mean? Well, each part of the box represents the same amount of data, roughly. Right? I have roughly 25% of data here, roughly 25% of data here, 25% of data here, 25% of here. Okay, I know that because these marks represent the quartiles, the first, third, and the first, second, and third quartiles. So I have the same amount of data here condensed into a very small space. Okay, so this is where I expect the big peak to be, which is exactly what I have. As I move to the right, notice the same amount of data is spread over farther and farther distances. Okay, 25% of the data here within 10 values here, 25% more within 5 values. Okay, so I have 50% of the data in here, right? And the same amount of data, 50%, spread out over much longer distance here. Okay, so that gives me an idea that this is a skewed distribution. All right, one more example. Here is an example that is going to be even more skewed, and we're going to have something interesting happen. So find the 5-number summary and draw the box plot of this frequency table. So my values are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and here are my frequencies: 15, 10, 5, 3, and 1. Okay, so as you can tell from the frequencies, this is a skewed right distribution. Almost all of the data is contained right here in the first 2 values, with fewer and fewer data points as we go to the right. Okay. When you find the 5-number summary, which you should do right now, pause it and find the 5-number summary, we get the following. Okay, there's first of all 33 individuals when you add these up. 25% of 33 is x 825. Okay, so that means round this up to 9, and the 9th value from the left is where Q1 is. The 9th value from the left is here at 1, right? The data starts at the smallest value is labeled x1 all the way up to x15, right? All of them have value 1. So the 9th value has value 1. 50% of 33 is 16.5 rounded up to 17, and we get that the median, or the Q2, is the 17th value from the left. So that's here, right? x16 is the first one here, and then x17. So that's a value of 2. 75% of 33 is 24.75, rounded up to 25, and that tells me the third quartile is equal to the value of the 25th individual from the left. So let's see, 15 and 10 is 25, right? So the 25th individual from the left is right here at 2 as well. And then the 26th value starts here, right? Dot, dot, dot. So these are my quartiles, 1, 2, and 2. Again, there are 25 values, 25 individuals in these two, at these two values. Okay, so that means my 5-number summary is very interesting here. My minimum value, my smallest value, my smallest x value is 1. My first quartile is also 1. That is perfectly fine. My second quartile is 2. My third quartile is also 2. So the 5-number summary can have values repeat. Okay, that is perfectly okay, and it will happen when our distribution doesn't have a lot of spread. And my maximum value is 5. Okay, so let's see what the graph looks like here. So let's draw a number line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why don't you draw what you think it will look like? Okay. Well, my minimum and Q1 values are here. My Q2 value and Q3 value are here, and my maximum is here. So I draw a box from Q1 to Q3. So I draw a box from 1 to 3. Okay. Now in theory I put an extra line at Q2, but I already have a line there, right? So it doesn't look any different. I can make this a little thicker so it's clear what I'm doing, but there's my Q2. And then I draw whiskers out to the minimum and maximum values. Well, the whisker out to the maximum value is pretty straightforward, all the way out to 5. But what do you think we do here? Well, nothing. There is no whisker to draw because this is already the minimum value. Okay, so here is my box plot for this graph, which is very heavily skewed right. Okay, and almost all of the data is right here. In fact, in particular, this represents about 75% of the data. How do I know that? Well, this is Q3. Q3 represents the 75th percentile. Okay, and this is 25% of the data. Okay. Thank you for watching, and I hope you've learned a lot.